God, this game is so disappointing. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this game is bad, like, at all. In fact, I enjoyed playing it. For the most part. But the thing I and a lot of other people bought this game for was the story, which is the game's weakest aspect in my opinion. So let's talk about why. When this game was first announced, I couldn't contain my excitement. I couldn't believe they were actually going to do more with the story of Breath of the Wild. I thought we were going to get more interactions between the champions, Pura and Robbie, and all of them. The first trailer and the way Alnuma presented it made me even more excited. However, then the demo dropped, and I started getting suspicious. The game starts off with Zelda unlocking her powers and a small guardian opening a portal. I watched this thinking, oh, time travel. Well, hopefully they don't change up the whole game's story or anything. How naive I was. There were actually a lot of things in the demo that was different to Breath of the Wild's timeline, including but not limited to Link not having the Master Sword even though he pulled it out when he was 13, Link being appointed Zelda's knight from the Battle of Hyrule even though he only got that job because he had the Master Sword. I made a mistake. Link got the job by deflecting a guardian laser with a pot lid at a test, saving everyone, and this caught the king's eye. This is detailed in Daruk's diary if you'd like to know. The entire existence of Terrako, just a lot of things were inaccurate, and that honestly worried me. But I was optimistic about where the game would go once it released. New trailers came out featuring Robbie and Koga and Pura, all of which having voices which suited them very well.
Stupendous chief of the Yiga clan, Master Koga, is gonna kill you all to death!
At the end of one of the trailers there was a mysterious cloaked figure. This made me and a lot of others curious as to what his role might be. No matter what it was, there's no way he'd be disappointing or anything, right? Right? The game finally released on the 20th of November 2020, and I bought it midnight because of how excited I was. I had to go somewhere the next day, so I couldn't exactly play it till I got back, but it was nice knowing the game was there. I spent the entire weekend playing and beating it, and boy was it disappointing. But before all that, I'll talk about what I like. First thing I'd like to mention is the amazing job that was done to faithfully recreate areas from Breath of the Wild. It very much looks exactly like Breath of the Wild with minor changes here and there for gameplay reasons, but it's also just really cool to see everything not destroyed. They did a great job remaking it all. There are a couple truly great scenes in this game, one of which being the scene where Link pulls the Master Sword. It starts off with Link and Zelda arriving and seeing Astor, and then Astor's theme starts playing quietly in the background while Link fights the Hollows. This really shows us how powerful Link is being able to keep up with all of them. It also just looks really good, the movements are so fluid. The music starts getting louder and more dramatic as Link starts losing the fight and his sword gets broken. Astor tells the Hollows to kill Zelda as Link reaches out hopelessly. Then the Master Sword glows and the music stops. All we hear are Link's grunts and the Master Sword being pulled out. Then finally, he pulls it, and the knight who seals the darkness starts playing triumphantly. There are also small details I like Link being able to block Daruk's attack while distracted, and Urbosa being the one to kill Zelda while she's the champion Zelda's closest to. This cutscene is just perfect in my eyes. The music, the action, everything just works together perfectly. Other scenes I really like include the scene where Zelda unlocks her power, any scene where the champions interact, and when the Yiga clan attack, the music gets all subdued and quiet until it pops back up with Suga. I really like that, and when Terrako gets angry at Link afterwards, I think that was pretty nice. There are a fair amount of good scenes in this game, and I didn't dislike watching them for the most part. I enjoyed the characters a lot too. All the ones from Breath of the Wild are as you remember them. MIPHAA's nice, Daruk is strong and likeable, Abosa is caring and smart, and Rivali is a prick.
Well, my one comfort is that your reputation will be completely ruined once you fail. The Fallen Knight.
Robbie and Pura are nice additions. They aren't in the game much, but are fun to watch. Koga is also really fun. His voice actor is clearly enjoying playing him a lot, and it really shows. I didn't pay much attention to him in Breath of the Wild, but I really liked him here. King is okay, I guess. He serves the same role he did in Breath of the Wild, has a fake out death scene, has a nice reconciliation with Zelda near the end of the game. But along with the old characters, we did get some new ones, like Suga, who is just okay. He's kind of cool, and his relationship with Koga is nice until he pops out of the story near the end. There's also Terrako and Astor, but I'll talk about them later. The thing I love most about this game, however, is the music. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a single track I didn't like. We have remixes of old tracks like the Champions themes and the Field Battle. I think these tracks are great in Breath of the Wild, but the changes they made here just made the music click with me even more. We also have new tracks like The Knight Who Seals the Darkness, which I implore you to listen to. You don't hear it for long in the game since that fight is so short, so most people don't actually know how great this theme is. So go! Listen to it! Now! Listen! But seriously, the music is amazing, easily the best part of this game for me. Now I'd finally like to get into the things I didn't like, and why I believe this game to be so disappointing. My biggest annoyance with this game has to be the ending and the overall direction the story went. Now before anyone goes in the comments and says, they never said the word prequel, let me show you a clip from the announcement trailer for this game.
This game takes place 100 years before the events of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. In that game, the Great Calamity that occurred 100 years prior was mentioned, but the actual event itself wasn't shown in full. In this game, you'll be able to experience the events of the Great Calamity.
What he said there was clearly implying the game to be a prequel. The marketing for the game even kept repeating the same thing, experience the events of the Great Calamity 100 years ago. If the intention was not to make a prequel, they should have explicitly stated that this game was in a different timeline. Now you might be thinking, but the demo showed you it was a different timeline. Yes, but two things. One, they still should have outright told us, and the people who didn't play the demo wouldn't have seen that information. Two, the ending still could have been the same and showed us that the outcome is the same no matter what happens. That would have been really interesting, now that I'm saying it out loud. It's honestly really upsetting. Like, if you go to the comments of the first Age of Calamity trailer, you can see the comments of people thinking about all the possibilities for the story and how interesting and sad it could be to see the champions fail and the heroes lose. But to then play the game and find out all that didn't happen, it made me mad the first time around. No one dies in this game, not even King Rome. Hell, Terrako sacrifices himself at the end, and yet he doesn't die fully. He's still brought back in the true ending. That's not to say I need blood and carnage to enjoy something, but it could have at least let us experience some sense of loss in the huge battle. But no, we have to have a super happy ending where everyone lived happy ever after, the end. There was a point where we could have got the ending we wanted. Everyone thinks the king has just died and the divine beasts are taken over. Zelda cries, exclaiming how she failed, and Terrako starts playing Zelda's lullaby, and I was starting to get emotional. But then he opens up a portal for all the future champions to help. When Sidon came through that portal and saved MIPHAA, I died laughing. I couldn't believe what I was watching. This game, this supposed prequel I waited months for, had turned into a what if scenario. I don't even particularly understand why. I mean, yeah, obviously, people bought this game because they wanted to see what happened during the Great Calamity, but I'm sure a lot of people would have bought it if it was marketed as a nice what if story. Nintendo could sell anything and people would buy it, so I don't think it would have mattered that much. Keep in mind, that's not my only issue with the story. I still think we could have had more scenes of the champions interacting, because we only really had like 3. Asta was a super boring villain whose only motivation was being evil, which isn't a bad thing per se, but in the trailers he had this mystery surrounding him, so I thought he could have been more interesting, but that's just me. Terika is the source of the time jumping and the story not being a prequel, but aside from that, he's cute I guess. He had that scene with Link and a couple other with Zelda, like when he plays the lullaby.
That song. Nighty-night.
He's mostly just fine for what he is, but the story as a whole is just okay. It's just fine, it's really nothing special, and I think that's the big issue with this game. The problem I have with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is that it could have done something really interesting. We could have had a depressing ending with all our favourite characters dying before us and Hyrule falling as we watch, but instead we got a safe, normal, happy ending. Which isn't bad by any means, but it just wasn't what I personally wanted out of the game. Yes, the music is still fantastic. There are some amazing scenes I still watch to this day. The characters are enjoyable, and the gameplay is mostly fun. Mostly! And if the game goes on sale, there's still enough to do in it to enjoy playing and keep you satisfied for a while. But since the thing I bought the game for wasn't great, I can't say that this game is anything other than one huge, huge disappointment.